Your daughter is still alive. Those words hit me like a freight train. Standing in the rain at a memorial, they cut through the quiet, sharp and clear, spoken by a young girl who had no reason to lie. In the next few minutes, I am going to walk you through a story that is more than a mystery. It is a mirror to our struggles, our resilience, our fight to be seen. This is a story about a billionaire, a child, and a truth that refused to stay buried. But first, let me ask you something. What would you do if someone you loved was taken, and the world told you to move on? Hold that thought, because this story will make you question everything you thought you knew. My name is Mike, and for the past 35 years I have been diving into stories that speak to our people, our pain, our power. I have seen patterns most folks overlook, connections that run deeper than what is shown on the surface. Today's story is about a man named William Foster, a billionaire who lost his daughter, Rachel, in a storm. Or so he thought. It is a tale of loss, but it is also about something bigger. It is about how we are dismissed, ignored, and silenced, yet still rise. By the end of this video, you will see why this story is not just about William or Rachel. It is about us, our past, our present, our future. And you will see how this story is your story. Here is what I am going to show you today. First, we will break down the surface story, what happened, who the players are, and why it grabs you right away. Then, we will go deeper, connecting this to our history, to the ways our community has been overlooked yet never stops fighting. We will uncover hidden layers, symbols, and truths most people miss. And we will tie it to what is happening right now in our neighborhoods, our lives. By the time we are done, you will understand why this story matters, why it is a blueprint for our resilience. But if you miss these deeper meanings, you are missing the real message. And that is exactly what they want. Let us dive in. The rain was steady that day, cold and heavy, soaking through the crowd at the Memorial Garden. William Foster stood there, a man who built an empire but could not outrun grief. His daughter, Rachel, was gone, lost in a boating accident off the coast. The official report said no survivors. The search lasted weeks, turned up nothing but wreckage. William was there to lay flowers, to say goodbye again. Then a voice broke through. Your daughter is still alive. A young girl, maybe 10, stood just outside the circle of mourners. Her name was Abigail Carter. Small, wearing a hoodie too big for her, rain dripping off the edges. Her eyes were serious, unflinching. William turned to her, stunned. What did you say? Abigail did not back down. I saw her. Your daughter, she is not dead. One of William's assistants laughed, thinking it was a kid, his imagination running wild, but William stopped him. Quiet. He stepped closer to Abigail. I was there that night, she said. She came out of the water, bleeding, scared. They pulled her into a van. William's heart raced. He did not want to believe her, but something in her voice held him. Little girl, he said, my daughter drowned. We searched. There was nothing. Abigail's eyes did not waver. She survived. I saw her. But here is where it gets interesting. Abigail described Rachel perfectly. A scar on her left arm from a childhood accident falling off a bike. Blonde hair, kept short after years of illness, a choice Rachel made to own her strength. William's breath caught. That scar was not public knowledge. Neither was the necklace Rachel always wore, gold, with a heart pendant engraved with R and W. Abigail knew about it. She saw it that night. And she saw the man who took Rachel, a tall guy with a gray beard and a prosthetic arm, barking orders like he was running a military op. They moved her before anyone could see, Abigail said. But I saw. William's world tilted. For a year he had buried his hope, accepted the story that Rachel was gone. But this girl, this stranger, held out a piece of proof. A handkerchief light blue frayed with Rachel's name stitched in gold. William took it, hands shaking. Where did you get this? Behind the old fish factory, Abigail said. That is where the van stopped. I was hiding by the fence. William looked into her eyes, saw no lie, only pain and truth. He made a choice right then. Get the car, he told his assistant. Abigail, you are coming with me. But wait, there is something else that will change everything. As they drove away, a man in a gray coat watched from a distance, lowering binoculars, speaking into an earpiece. They have made contact. Proceed to step 2. This was not just a story about a missing daughter. It was a conspiracy, one that would pull William, Abigail, and everyone they trusted into a fight bigger than they could imagine. In the car, William and Abigail sat in silence, the rain tapping the windows. Finally, he spoke. "Where exactly?" "Did you see her?" "By the docks," Abigail said. "Pier 12, behind the fish factory. There is a fence with a gap I hide in sometimes. The man with the fake arm, his left one clicked when he moved. Military-looking white plastic." William's mind raced. Years ago, his company worked on a deal with a defense contractor making high-tech prosthetics. The project was scrapped, or so he was told. Abigail's details were too specific to ignore. "She was screaming," Abigail said, not loud, but like she was begging. "They dragged her into the van." William exhaled heavy. "No one else saw this." Abigail's face tightened. "People do not see kids like me, especially not black ones, sleeping near the docks." That hit William hard. He lived in penthouses, ran boardrooms, but this city, his city, had let his daughter vanish and let Abigail witness it unseen. "Why wait a year to tell me?" he asked. "I did not know who you were," Abigail said. "Not until I saw your picture in a magazine at the library. It said you would be at the memorial." William softened. "Do you have a place to stay?" Abigail shook her head. "Then you are staying with me," he said, "at least until we figure this out." They drove to his estate, a sprawling house on the cliffs. William called his old friend Daniel, a private investigator. "I need surveillance on Pier 12, the fish factory, everything within 5 blocks. Look for medical setups, military types, anyone with a prosthetic arm." Daniel paused. "What did you just step into?" "Something I buried a year ago," William said. "It is coming back." At the estate, Abigail sat by the fireplace, wrapped in a blanket. A housekeeper brought her food, grilled cheese, tomato soup, apple slices. She stared at it, then whispered, "I have not eaten like this in a long time." William watched her, his heart heavy. "What about school?" he asked. "I go when the shelters make me," she said. "If you help me find Rachel," he said, "I will make sure you never sleep on the streets again." Abigail looked at him, careful. "You mean that?" "I do not make promises I cannot keep," he said. She nodded. "Then I will tell you everything. And this is where it gets really interesting." Abigail described the van, the men in dark clothes, a small box one of them dropped, something electronic with strange writing. William listened, every detail burning into his memory. Later, as Abigail slept, he got a call from Daniel. Unregistered vehicles at the fish factory. Guards, no logos, and one guy with a prosthetic arm. William's jaw tightened. Do not engage, just track. The truth was out there, and it was closer than he ever imagined. This story does not stand alone. To understand why it hits so deep, we need to go back, way back, to the patterns in our history that make a story like this feel so real. Our community knows what it is like to be unseen, to have our voices dismissed, our truths buried. From the days of slavery to the civil rights movement, to the struggles we face today, there is a thread that runs through it all. People in power silencing those they think do not matter. But we have always found ways to speak, to rise, to be heard. Think about the Underground Railroad. Harriet Tubman, a woman who should have been invisible to the world, led hundreds to freedom. She was not supposed to be seen, was not supposed to matter, but she did. Her courage forced the world to listen. Or take the 1960s when kids, black kids, some as young as Abigail, marched in Birmingham facing dogs and fire hoses. They were told their voices did not count, but they changed history. These are not just old stories. They are the roots of what we are talking about today. This story of William and Abigail mirrors that same fight. A billionaire, a man with all the power in the world, and a young black girl, someone society overlooks, coming together to uncover a truth. It is not just about Rachel's disappearance. It is about what happens when the invisible refuse to stay silent. Our history is full of Abigails, people who saw something, knew something, and spoke when no one wanted to hear. And every time they did, they shifted the ground under those who thought they could control the narrative. But here is what nobody tells you. The systems that tried to silence Harriet, those kids in Birmingham, or even Abigail in this story, they are still here. They have just changed their face. Today, it is not always about chains or hoses. It is about economic exclusion, media erasure, the way our stories get buried under headlines that do not serve us. In the 1980s, during the crack epidemic, entire communities were written off, labeled as problems to be ignored. Kids like Abigail, living on the margins, saw things, knew things, but who listened? The parallels are clear. When Abigail speaks up about Rachel, she is not just telling William his truth. She is carrying the weight of our history, of every time we have had to fight to be believed. And this historical context reveals something that will blow your mind. The conspiracy in this story, the one that took Rachel, is not fiction. It is a reflection of real systems that profit off silence, that thrive when we do not look too closely. Human trafficking, corporate cover-ups, they are not just plot devices. They are happening now in our cities, our ports, our backyards. The FBI reported over 30,000 missing persons cases last year, many from communities like ours, and how many get the attention William gave Rachel? Not enough. This story is a wake-up call, showing us what is at stake when we let the truth slip away. Now let us dive into the story itself, the surface of it, and peel back what is really going on. It starts with William Foster, a billionaire who built a shipping empire, a man who thought he controlled his world until it crumbled. His daughter, Rachel, was his everything. She was not just a rich man's kid. She was a fighter, a lawyer working on a case that could have exposed corruption in the shipping industry, money laundering, human trafficking. She was weeks from going public when her boat went down in a storm. No survivors, they said. William believed it, buried his grief, until Abigail showed up. Abigail Carter, a 10-year-old black girl living on the streets, saw something no one else did. That night at the docks, she watched men pull Rachel from the water, alive but terrified. Abigail memorized every detail, the scar, the necklace, the man with the prosthetic arm. When she told William, it was not just a clue. It was a spark. William took her in, not out of pity, but because she held the key to his daughter's life. Together, they started digging, following leads to an old fish factory, a place that looked abandoned but hid secrets. But here is the part that broke my heart. Abigail was not just a witness. She was a mirror to Rachel. Both were fighters, both refused to be erased. Rachel's work threatened powerful people, and Abigail's courage threatened their silence. When William and his team raided the fish factory, they found proof, a room with a cot, restraints, Rachel's initials scratched into the wall. She had been there, alive, leaving signs, hoping someone would find her. And Abigail, a girl no one saw, was the one who did. The story builds from there. William, Abigail, and Daniel, the investigator, track leads to a warehouse by the sea. They find Rachel, weak but alive, held by men working for a shadowy group called Black Anchor. The man with the prosthetic arm, Samuel Reed, is their enforcer. He admits they took Rachel to stop her lawsuit, to bury her evidence. But Rachel would not break, and neither would Abigail. In a tense rescue, they free Rachel, but the fight is not over. Black Anchor's reach goes deeper, into corporations, governments, places William never imagined. This is where it gets complex, but stay with me. The story's surface is a thriller, but its heart is about power and who gets to wield it. William's wealth could not save Rachel alone. It took Abigail's voice, her memory, to start unraveling the truth. Every scene, from the rain-soaked memorial to the final raid, shows their bond growing. William learns to see the world through Abigail's eyes, a world where kids like her are invisible until they force the world to look. And Rachel, even captive, leaves clues, fighting from the shadows. These moments are not just plot points. They are symbols of our resilience, our refusal to be forgotten. But wait, there is a pattern here that connects to something happening right now. The way Abigail's voice was ignored at first, that is not just a story. It is our story, our community's story, and it is playing out today in ways you will recognize. This is where it gets personal, and this is where it gets real. This story is not just a tale of rescue. It is a mirror reflecting our reality, our community, our fight to be heard. When Abigail stood up at that memorial, rain soaking her hoodie, and told William his daughter was alive, she was doing what so many of us have done, speaking truth when no one wants to listen. You know exactly what I am talking about. We have all felt that moment when our voice is dismissed, when our pain is ignored, when our truth is called a lie. Think about it. How many times have you seen someone in our community speak out about injustice, only to be told they are exaggerating, they are wrong, they are making it up? I remember a friend of mine back in the 90s trying to report a shady business in our neighborhood. He had proof, receipts, everything. The police brushed him off, said he was seeing things that were not there. Years later, that business got busted for trafficking, but by then, how many lives were lost? That is Abigail's story. She saw something real, something terrible, and no one believed her until William did. This story hits different because it is our lived experience. The docks where Abigail hid, the streets she slept on, those are our streets, our cities. The U.S. Census says over 20% of black kids live below the poverty line, many in places where no one is looking, no one is listening. Abigail is not just a character. She is the kids in our neighborhoods, the ones who see things we do not, who know truths we overlook. And when she speaks, when she refuses to stay silent, she is carrying our history forward, from the kids who marched in Selma to the ones posting on X today, calling out what is wrong. And this next part is essential. This story connects to what is happening right now. Human trafficking is not just a plot device. It is real. The Department of Homeland Security reported over 1,700 trafficking cases last year, and black women and girls are disproportionately affected. Rachel is kidnapping, her fight to leave clues. It is not just fiction. It is the story of women in our community, taken, silenced, but still fighting to be found. And Abigail, she is the voice we need, the one who sees what others ignore, who forces the world to look. I need you to really focus on this next part. This story is not just about William and Rachel. It is about us. It is about the times we have been told to be quiet, to move on, to accept the narrative. But it is also about the times we have refused, when we have stood up, spoken out, made the world listen. That is why this story resonates. It is our struggle, our strength, our survival, and it is not over yet. Here is the truth that nobody wants to talk about. This story reveals something profound about our experience, about the power of being seen when the world wants you invisible. And I know some of you watching right now have felt this exact thing. Abigail is courage, her refusal to stay silent, that is the spark that lights the fire. It is not just about saving Rachel. It is about what happens when one voice, one small, overlooked voice, decides to speak and changes everything. Let me break this down for you. The deeper truth here is about who gets to be believed. In the story, Abigail is a black girl, homeless, ignored by everyone except William. But her truth, her memory, it is the key that unlocks everything. That is our community's story. We have been carrying truths for generations, truths about injustice, about pain, about resilience, and too often, the world does not listen until we make it. Abigail's testimony is our testimony. When she stands up, when she tells William what she saw, she is doing what our ancestors did, what our activists do, what we do every day when we refuse to let our stories be erased. And this is where it gets complex, but stay with me. The story shows us that power is not just money or status. William had all of that, but it was not enough to find Rachel. It took Abigail's voice, her courage, her refusal to be invisible. That is the real power, the kind that comes from within, the kind our community has always had. From the women who organized boycotts in the 1950s to the kids today using social media to call out corruption, we have always found ways to speak, to be seen, to matter. This is our lived experience. The story's emotional climax comes when Abigail, William, and Rachel stand together, not just as survivors, but as a new kind of family bound by truth and fight. They do not just save Rachel. They expose Black Anchor, a network that thrives on silence, on making people disappear. And that is what makes this story so powerful. It is a reminder that our voices, our truths, can break even the strongest systems. It is a call to keep speaking, keep fighting, keep believing that we matter. But there is one more layer, the most important one, that ties everything together. This story is not just about what happened. It is about what we do next, how we carry this truth forward, how we make sure the world never forgets. So here is what I want you to take away from this deep dive. This story is not just a story. It is a blueprint. It shows us where we have been, where we are, and most importantly, where we can go. Abigail is courage, William is redemption, Rachel is resilience. They are us. They show us that no matter how hard the world tries to silence us, we have the power to speak, to fight, to change things. This analysis took me weeks to put together because these connections matter. These stories matter. Your understanding matters. Next week, I am going even deeper with another story that uncovers hidden truths about our community. After today is Revelations. You definitely do not want to miss that breakdown. If this deep dive opened your eyes to something new, if it made you see this story and maybe yourself differently, then smash that subscribe button. Drop a comment telling me which part of this story hit you the hardest. Was it Abigail is courage, William is fight, or Rachel is survival? I read every single comment, and I want to know what moved you. Until next time, keep digging deeper. Keep finding the truth in every story, because our stories matter, and so do you.